So I got a request from someone to show them how to do Piro Tictoc rotations, or 360-degree Piro Tictocs. And they are really, really complex. I mean, there's a lot going on. Ideally, you want to do them super low. So I think we're going to go through some of the basics to get you there. And I think we're going to start with Tictocs. So 4-point Tictocs is what you want to work on. So you want to be able to do 4-point Tictocs. So that's nose up, left, down and right. And then you want to be able to do them in a 360. So you want to be able to do the rotation. And I'll show you in the flight why this is important. But basically your two positions in a Piro Tictoc is a nose down to nose up. So you need to be really confident doing Tictocs, nose down and nose up, because those are your two safe positions. Those are the two positions when you're doing the Piro Tictocs. And then, but you also need to be able to do aileron Tictocs, and you need to be really good at those, because in the middle of your turnover, you have to have really good control at that point. So 4-point Tictocs is probably where you want to start. 4-point Tictocs rotation. Let's go and give it a go. Start with tail down, and you just want to be able to do this really controlled with a 360-degree rotation. Okay, and then you want to be able to do the nose down version as well. And as I said before, the reason you want to be good at Tictocs is because you need to learn that position, knife edge, and down again. And those are your 4 points. So we'll do nose down Tictocs as well. Nice and controlled, shouldn't move away, ideally on the same spot. Just have really good control, side in. That's those. Now we'll do the same with aileron Tictocs. And as well with aileron Tictocs the other way. Right, so that flight that we just did was just Tictocs. You want to have really, really good control over them. You want to do them, be able to do them slow. You want to be able to do them fast. And you want to be able to do them fairly low. And because I find that if you do things up high, you aren't going to learn as fast. The model's going to drift and you won't notice. So you really need to be down low. So when it moves a foot left or right, you can see it straight away. It's not just pushing sticks around. So you want to be really good at all 4-point Tictocs around the rotation. So the next thing we're going to move on to is half Piro Tictocs. So this is where we sit in a stable position of, let's say, nose in. Then we do a half Piro Tictoc to nose in inverted. And we stop it there, or we pause it there. And we're just going to get used to that movement and then bringing back again. And then we're going to try and do the same thing all the way around the 360. And we're going to keep it really well controlled, and we're not going to go anywhere near full speed. So let's go and do that now. So we're just doing a pause Piro Tictoc. You don't have to go completely level on either side. Okay, and then you want to be able to do that in all 4 orientations. So then we'll start in the tail end position as well. want to get really good at this, and then you want to play with the speeds as well, so you can start speeding it up. Let's do left. Oh, sorry, I did say paused version, didn't I? Right, so let's do the paused version left. You just hold it there for a second, and then we'll do it right as well. Second. Let's see, so one of the things, right, so one of the things I didn't mention is when you're doing this paused half Piro Tictoc, you need to be really, really precise. I mean, it's really easy to do one that turns into a mini rainbow and ends up who knows where. So in fact, before you even start the half Piro Tictoc, you need to think, where am I going to be? Am I doing this in a 1 foot, or am I doing this in 2 foot? And just see that position where you want to be. And then what happens then is if you do it and you do it wrong, you can tell straight away. Whereas if you weren't aiming for anything in particular, it would just wander off and you'd end up just pushing the sticks around and not really learning anything. So you need to be really, really precise about where you want to be. So you can almost see that position, and now you're there and you see the next position and you're back there. So you've got to be really precise with these. Right, and then once you've done the 4-point, it might be interesting to turn it into something like a 12-point. So there, and then 1, 2, 3. Right, and you can see I'm trying to keep it as precise as possible, really tight. And then obviously if you've gone to all of the effort of doing, let's say, 4-point Tictocs, you might as well learn right rudder at the same time. So this applies to right rudder, same thing again. Turn that into a 12-pointer and go the other way for a bit of variety. Okay, so we've just done the paused version of the Piro Tictoc Rotation. So that is pretty tricky. And this is the point where you're going to pick up loads of weaknesses. You're going to find that it just doesn't work and you can't hit the point that you're aiming for. Yeah, so in terms of weaknesses, this is where you need to attack them. So you're going to find things like maybe your start aggressiveness isn't enough, so you're going to have to work on that. You're going to find things like as you go knife edge, you aren't pulling the disc over hard enough and backing off the collective at the same time. And you're going to have to work on all of these weaknesses around the 360. And this is where what makes it such a difficult and a time-consuming maneuver to learn, because you have to address all of these weaknesses before you can get a full rotation. Right, and so the next step after doing the paused version is we're going to go into a slow, non-paused version, and we'll go and do that now. Okay, so as I said, we're going to do the slow version now, but what you've got to keep in mind is you still got to see those positions. So you've got to look for your nose down position, and you've got to think ahead to where you want to be in that nose up position. So you're still thinking about where you want to be, even though it's non-stop. And then if we've done a left rudder, we can do a right rudder as well. Right, so we've done the slow version, so now we're going to move on to the slightly faster version. So this is not paused, this is just going to be sort of not super fast because you need to keep control as it's going round, but we're going to do it faster than the slow version that we did earlier. Let's give it a go. Okay, so just a word about weaknesses is when you find weaknesses and you recognize that you have weaknesses, we're going to do a quick flight on how you attack those. So some of the weaknesses that I've had to overcome while learning this was, in the knife edge position, not having control, so not pulling it over fast enough and also not pulling it over straight, so in other words skewing off to the side. So I'll show you an exercise where we can try and work around that. And I'll show you some other exercises as well, and we'll have a chat. Right, so this exercise is for correcting the not pulling it over properly. So what I'm going to do is a hesitation in the middle. So I'm going to go up, knife edge, and then complete. Knife edge, and then complete. So you aren't just learning the stick movements to get you through, you're actually having to fly it. And you want to do this both ways, so you can do it right rudder as well. Right, and you can immediately see if it's skewing off once you get to the top, so it's going further away, coming close, you have to be able to fix that. So what you can do is you can try and force it a bit, so when it gets to the top and it pauses, deliberately make it go further away. And do the same way you make it come closer. So get up to the top and pull it closer in that way. Push it back to the, oh, go back down there, right. Then push it back up to the middle and straighten up and land. So you definitely want to have control. That should teach you directional control, so the main shaft goes over straight, and it should also teach you the amount of aileron you need. And you can do the same, make it smaller again. Just make sure you're pulling that aileron over and then that aileron over. So other weaknesses would just be the amount of collective control that you have. So start big. And I love these sorts of exercises because you can do them all day long, low stress, but you're actually learning. And you make it a little bit smaller, so you'll pop up. Right, and here you're just learning to control. So you're popping the collective, backing off, and then picking it up again once you arrive at the other side. So the figure of 8 is also a really good maneuver. So although we've done Tictocs, we've covered Tictocs, doing them in a figure of 8 is really good for your control as well. So we'll do these as moving. And then you can do Piro Tictocs in a figure of 8 as well. And this is all just about learning control. And that's the end of the battery. So in conclusion, this is an extremely difficult maneuver. It will take you a long time to conquer, but you will learn so many useful skills along the way. You'll learn to fly low, you'll learn to fly in all the orientations, you'll learn to reverse things. It's a long journey, but honestly, it's very, very worthwhile, and you'll end up being able to do a fantastic maneuver. So I hope you have success, and I hope we see you doing them soon. Until next time.